I said, okay, I don't want to do this, I would rather do something else. So I stepped down and I spent some time exploring this universal prosperity with Ashwin. But about 2 months ago, my son, who's the CEO of Bharosa Club, he said he had a big dream and he convinced me to kind of join him as executive chairman. So that's what I'm doing now. But let's start with saying, so we want to create unicorns in UP. So the key question while I was giving this introduction, I hope you read the slide, is the key question is, why will a unicorn builder come to UP, right? So let's try and answer that. So one is that you can create a Me Too incubator, right? So there are hundreds of incubators, there are different incubators. It doesn't mean you can't create a great incubator. Like if you look at IIM Ahmedabad, it was created by a visionary like Vikram Sarabhai. He had a collaboration with Harvard. Okay, so maybe UP, when they're creating a incubator, a Me Too incubator, which may not be very different, but it could be different. They could have a collaboration with someone like maybe Y Combinator in Silicon Valley, or like there are other incubators. Like one of my friends runs an incubator in Silicon Valley, and he incubated a company which those of you who are young and in the startup world will definitely know. It's a company called Discord, which is now a very large company. So one of the things, if you wanted to create an incubator that could incubate unicorns, then it's possible that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You've got to figure out, what's going on and then adapt it. Okay? So a Me Too incubator, the only problem with a Me Too incubator is that will probably take very long, right? For it, because say even IIM Ahmedabad, I think it took a while for people to say, yeah, if I want to do management, I want to go to IIM Ahmedabad. That's my first choice. Or if I want to try to get into IIT, I want to do JEE, I must go to Kota. Right? So if you're saying, people should come to Lucknow, it's going to take a little bit of time before you can establish that reputation. So is there a quicker and faster way, okay, of trying to do that? So what are a unicorn builder's needs? So a unicorn builder is very different from a person who's trying to do a startup with a limited vision. And there's nothing wrong with doing startups with limited vision, okay? Because most startups are like this. It's like Rahul Dravid, and Virender Sehwag, okay? Like Rahul Dravid will make a century by hitting 1-1 run, while Virender Sehwag will hit sixes, right? So unicorn builders are trying to hit sixes, and maybe 6 sixes in an over, which has happened very few times, and maybe Rinku Singh has done something amazing, but it's like a Rinku Singh type of thing, right? Very difficult, okay? And chance of failure very high, right? So a unicorn builder does not need funding, because if they can build a unicorn, they can always raise money, right? If they can't raise money, then they are not a unicorn builder, right? So raising money is in some ways the easiest thing. The two toughest things what a unicorn builder needs is this concept of critical mass and regulatory support. Okay, so let me go into each of these. So one of the reasons why I decided to come here, because some of these things that I talk about, they don't resonate with people because they're very different, right? But UP has this amazing dream, the 1 trillion dream by 2027, right? Now, quite a few people I talk to say that this is just a gimmick, nothing will happen, or the reality will be very different. But I think that's the wrong way to approach this. The thing is that you have a visionary leader who's given you an aspirational goal. Now you have to say, what can we do to support it, right? What can we do? How can we contribute, right? So now I'm going to give you some ideas about how this visionary goal could actually be reached, right? So suppose, when in the government you issue an RFP, you spend a lot of time, you do a DPR, you do all this kind of stuff. But suppose there was, I'm not saying it will be one line, but suppose there was one line RFP, which said that we want unicorn builders to apply who can give us a plan on how they're going to end poverty in Uttar Pradesh by 2027. Now the worst scenario is nobody will apply. But I can tell you that if you issue this RFP, one of the companies that will apply will be Bharosa Club. Okay. But there will be many more. So at the airport when I came today, I saw an ad from Adani Capital, right? Which also talks about financial inclusion. You talk about Reliance, they also want to get into financial inclusion. You talk about Visa, you talk about PayPal. Everybody wants to get in, right? Now, of course, they want to make money, right? They don't want to get in if they're not going to make money. It's not charitable stuff. But there are ways of finding this out. And if you say that if you're going to do this, it must be a new company. It could be Reliance, could be Adani, but it has to be a new company with at least 100 crores of minimum capital. Could be foreign, could be Indian. You may have some restrictions here and there, but try and keep restrictions to the minimum. And say that we are going to give you a lab, a laboratory in UP, right? Where you can prove your stuff, right? We will help you get critical mass. We will give you supporting regulations. That doesn't mean that we'll give you everything that you ask for, but it has to be balanced. And you'll find that most unicorn builders are very fair. They understand the need for regulation, but they want good regulation and supporting regulation. So again here, I'm going to tell you a little story of why USA is so good at innovation and building unicorns. One of the biggest reasons is that their regulators are very supporting and the government is very supporting. So you take PayPal. It was allowed to operate for 2 years without a license. Nobody knew what they are, right? What is PayPal? Then it got licensed as a money transmitter in 48 states, which was a very time-consuming and expensive process just before it went into IPO. But if PayPal was asked to do that at the beginning, it would have never been born. Today you look at crypto, you look at AI, you look at quantum computing. See, all this stuff is kind of unregulated. But the government is watching, the regulators are watching. If there's a problem, they will step in, right? But they're saying, this is new, I don't even know how to regulate it. So while it's a baby, I don't want to put a lot of restraints on the baby, right? So now the other thing that you have to do if you pursue this and you say, I'm going to license at least 2 companies to end poverty by 2027, okay, you have to ensure that they give you a performance guarantee, right? Because otherwise, how do you know that these companies will do anything, right? And you have to look at what their plan is, right? So now that is where the consultants, like so whether it's UP, Icon, or I think Deloitte won this contract for the 1 trillion or whatever, I don't know who exactly, but the consultants play a critical role because they can be the bridge between unicorn builders and the government, right? Because there has to be a very hard to pass screen, right? Saying if you are a unicorn builder, first of all, your vision has to be global. It cannot be limited to Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh can be a lab, but it has to be at least pan-India. If not pan-India, and why pan-India? Why not global, right? So one is that the screen has, so it's not that, like I said right at the beginning, this unicorn builder might sound sexy and great and all that, but very few people can do it, right? So nothing wrong in doing small stuff. So if you want to do small stuff, then there's a different path, right? And some of that small stuff may become big, who knows? And some of these unicorn builders may fail. We don't know that, but the paths are different. And then within 30 days, you should be able to give a go, no go on the license, right? Because the main thing that the unicorn builders want is that they don't have time to run from pillar to post. Time is money. And they want quick decisions. Okay, so I'm going to give two concrete action steps, which for you all to think about. But now, what will make a company like Bharosa Club, okay, come to this thing? So the first thing that UP has, it has a huge population, right? So that's critical mass, right? So if I am looking for critical mass, so like Paytm pays so much money, you know, they're advertising, and you look at some of these new age startups, they're losing so much money just on customer acquisition, right? So how valuable is customer acquisition to a company, right? And then the government support and regulatory support. So a simple thing like KYC. Now, can you do KYC at zero cost, instant? Okay. Now, company like PayPal operates in 125 countries, very many different jurisdictions. It has never had a money laundering case. Yet the account opening process at PayPal takes 30 seconds because they use AI and pattern recognition at the back, right? So in India, we have many processes which make it tough for the honest person and don't catch the corrupt guy because that guy circumvents them. Right? So there's a lot of room for innovation and thinking. Okay? So that's what I mean by. Okay. So what are the key takeaways? And this is my last slide. Okay. First is unicorn builders are very rare, and they have many choices. They can go to Telangana, they can go to Maharashtra, they can go to Gujarat, they can go in India, they can also go to other countries, right? But if there is this formula that they can get critical mass, the government is prepared to work with them, and like the government of UP has no control over RBI or SEBI or anybody like that. But they can work with RBI, SEBI and say, hey, we want to do this, you know, let's do this, right? Because it's going to benefit us. Okay, so if UP wants to attract unicorns quickly, then it needs to have a we will give you a lab mindset. Because this, unless I'm wrong, will be very unique and it will attract unicorns. Because unicorns need a lab. You take any unicorn, take Uber, take Airbnb, you know, if they had a lab where they could perfect their product, work with regulators, in the case of Uber,